Welcome to the Daily Agenda. At last, we come to it. Patriot Games, the book that demolishes the centre right like no one has ever done it before. That's my honest opinion, and that's why it's taken so long. I was going to publish just before the general election last year, at the same time as I published Offended, the book about free speech, but I decided not to go ahead with it because I believe the situation was so fluid politically, and that just about anything could happen, that it was best to hold off for at least another year. And it was absolutely the right decision to make, because in fact in nearly 18 months since then, since they made the decision not to go ahead with publishing, there's been a massive splits, defections and division all over the centre right. Now the common I could have put it, perception is that nationalism is divided. Well, nationalists are not actually anywhere near as divided as the centre right. The centre right, while spouting a great deal of goy-slop all over their content creation channels, which is what they're all about, really, isn't it? Goy-slop. We all know what goy-slop is, don't we? Apparently their viewers don't know what goy-slop is. That's why they slurp it down in endless dollops of goy-slop. But yes, enough of the goy-slop, as I don't want anyone, any of it slurping down me. But in truth, we're now in a three-way battle, really, and one of the figureheads is actually a joint figurehead in the battle. So at the moment the centre-right has the ascendancy over nationalism, whereas in 2009 the British National Party had ascendancy over the centre-right. That's how much things have changed in that time, entirely because of Nick Griffin and his cabal wrecking the BNP, obviously. No one else did it, did they? And if they did, I've not been able to find them since. But yes. So one of the figureheads is actually a twin. It's like the god Janus. One looks to the future, one looks to the past. It's two-faced. It's Tommy Robinson and Ben Habib. So Ben Habib needs Tommy Robinson, and Tommy needs Ben. The Tommy and Ben show. The other two centrifugal characters in the battle to control the centre-right ground is Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe. Is there anyone else? Have I missed them? I don't think I have I? So we have Reform UK, Deepfake Reform UK, Restore Nothing in Britain, and Give Me a Cash Advance UK on my loan. Do you get the point I'm making? They're all Tories, all recycled Tories. Apart from Tommy, who didn't grow up a Tory, but he drifted off into the centre-right Tory ground and probably secretly worships Chairman Mao as much as he does Margaret Thatcher. Oh, we know his little crony, Glenn Saffer, certainly worships Chairman Mao and Mao Zedong. Couldn't resist that one, obviously, because in truth, the majority of the centre-right are ideologically the centre-left. And I've said many times that the only people on the right, really, are nationalists. And some of them have drifted off into the centre-right, and lots more centre-right have come over to nationalism. You know? We have shed far fewer people to the centre-right than the centre-right has shed to nationalism. I can assure you of that for a fact. The issue at hand now is for nationalists to marshal the newly awakened force and put them into an organisational unit, which is going to be a very interesting task and can't be done by one person. But in terms of Patriot Games, why did I choose that title? Well, first of all, I went with power crazy because they are power crazy. The vast majority of the people in the centre-right, particularly those who came out of UKIP, absolutely obsessed with power. I mean, in UKIP, the amount of clowns you meet who believe themselves to be Queen Boadicea reborn or King Alfred the Great reborn is astonishing. You know, there's some very serious personality issues going on in UKIP. Well, not so much now because it's led by a David Koresh type figure Nick the Greek Tanconi, one of the biggest clowns in the centre-right, who spends his time ranting about ethno-nationalists and telling everybody how utterly revolting ethno-nationalists are. And he always seems to say this in the presence of a black woman, because he needs that validation, you see. This is what narcissists do. You know, they always need validation, and they're always gaslighting and pretending to be virtuous and playing the victim. Tommy Robinson does exactly the same thing. The only difference is he does it a damn sight better than Nick Tanconi. And Nick Tanconi, of course, was hoping for Tommy's support, and Tommy kicked him to the curb and backed Ben Habib instead, because Ben Habib, let's face it, is a significantly more serious politician than Nick Tanconi. He's just a performing chimp, a clown. And wherever he goes in the country, he just entertains people with his travelling circus. So UKIP was not included really in this drama, Patriot Games, only in the recent historical sense, in terms of its plotting, scheming and conniving with the police to frame nationalists, people like me. And that's one thing that shines out in the book very clearly. It's now available on Amazon in ebook and also paperback. I might release a hardback if there's enough demand for it. But UKIP, quite frankly, were utterly atrocious and appalling. And all of the evidence is in the book, and anybody who wishes to challenge it, no problem at all. See you in court, I'll rip you to shreds. Totally and utterly rip you to shreds, just like I did before. And I'll do it every single time, because I always cover my bases first before I publish anything. And I have an absolute arsenal of evidence on the centre-right criminal gang. Because in truth, what we're talking about here with the centre-right is an absolute litany of criminality. Criminality including false and malicious allegations to bank coppers making up lies on their behalf and in league with them and getting humiliated as a result. Then we have fraud, false accounting, cocaine use, of course, and in Tommy's circle, well, we have, look at his best friend, Kermit Singh. Just a bit of fraud in it, bro, governor. And armed robbery. And goodness knows what else that crook has been up to. And then, of course, we have Andrew Curran, aka Andy Saxon, involved in killing a black man with a car. Crushed him with a car. And he got 18 months in prison for it. His co-conspirators also got very low sentences. Interesting, isn't it? How these people are always ranting and screaming about racism after creating what would really be classed as a racist murder. Or racist killing. Racist death. Or call it whatever you will. But the centre-right is completely bereft of morality. But as I said in the video last night, they are totally pumped and promoted, connected and financed by you know who. It's the ones, Chosenites. Shall we call them the Chosenites? Yes, absolutely. They're totally and utterly obsessed with the Chosenites, aren't they? And that Middle Eastern desert clan. And most of them claim to be Christians as well. You know, like Danny Tomo, Warrior of God, with a criminal record that is quite sickening. And obviously, you know, he has no moral compunction whatsoever, and has sex with grooming gangs victims. And he's not the only one, I assure you. There's some more dirt coming out on that one in the near future. So this is what should really concern everyone about the centre-right, is that this organised criminal gang is being so heavily pumped and promoted and financed by corrupt vested interests just to promote the controlling interest of the Chosenites. And that's all it's about. And that's all they do, is rant and rave about the Chosenites, whilst raving and ranting and foaming at the mouth about nationalists and ethno-nationalists. And the great thing about the book is that not only does it rip the centre-right to shreds, Nigel Farage in particular, and his bent lawyer Andrew Reid totally and utterly lays waste to all of their fairy tales and false allegations and fanciful claims. And Catherine Blakelock, dear oh dear, that creature, my goodness, yes, absolutely. You're just spoilt for choice where it comes to the centre-right. It's just a swamp of amorality and criminality. These people are not fit to run a parish council, let alone govern a country. But what should concern everyone is that these people want to take over this country, and I would say by any means necessary. And if they can't do it at the ballot box, then I think they'll go for that civil war option narrative they keep ranting about around the clock, when they can take a break from ranting about the Chosenites and white ethno-nationalists. Absolutely. It's a moot point as to whether they rant more about the Chosenites or white ethno-nationalists. I think we'll have to do some further assessment on that one to come up with specific percentages of just how much ranting they do about each faction and why they do it. Well, I think we know why they do it, don't we? Because they're financed and owned by the Chosenites. But the book itself also details, quite frankly, a large amount of nationalist policy. New nationalist policy, that is. We're not talking about the old policies of the British National Party. We're talking policies that have been very carefully thought out and crafted, because the one thing with the centre-right is they don't do policy very well, and what they tend to do is cherry picking and robbing and thieving, particularly copyright theft. Yes, absolutely, copyright theft, that's one of their favourite push on, and then running smear campaigns, gaslighting against the people they've stolen these ideological property from. And so, like me, for example. But I don't tolerate it, you see, and I didn't sit there in fearful silence. And the book also details the sheer volume of death threats, rape threats. No rape threat against me, obviously. Against my former fiance, death threats against my mother, death threats against me, threats of every possible description, because Simon Tomlin, this chap I know, in fact I see him every day when I look in the mirror, just wouldn't back down to them, and he wouldn't stop exposing the truth. And that's what I'm doing right now. So Patriot Games really is something that all nationalists should read. Absolutely. It doesn't matter whether, you think I'm a decent bloke or not, or you agree with my particular brand of nationalism. Just as a nationalist, quite frankly, no matter what nationalist faction you're in, you should read the book to get an absolutely damning oversight of the centre-right and how to put a stop to the centre-right, and to understand who is most likely to win this power struggle between the three figureheads: Farage, Rupert, Lowe, Habib, Robinson. Because Habib and Robinson are twins, they're one figurehead, they can't cope without each other. Now, I'd say this to all the Tommy fanboys in particular: put Tommy Robinson up as a PPC at a general election, and the result will be Tommy a laughingstock. Then you'll see just how popular he really is when it comes to the real popularity contest, a general election. Because I guarantee you Tommy would be lucky to actually get 5% and retain his deposit. In truth, I think he'd probably get about 8, 9, 10%. But at this moment in time, until the reform bubble bursts or the establishment orders it to be flat-packed, which is what Farage does every time he takes orders from the establishment, because he is an establishment puppet just playing the game, or in truth it just falls apart completely, which is another thing that happens to Farage's organisations. Rupert, Lowe, Habib, Robinson are waiting in the wings to take over the centre-right. And this also affects nationalists, because whilst we're having success at convincing some centre-right people that they're not actually centre-right at all, that they are nationalists, we're not doing it at the rate that we should be doing, because these people still have this misguided, deluded faith in Farage, Lowe, Robinson, Habib. And that has to result in a massive catastrophic failure first before nationalism truly experiences a renaissance. And let's say this civil war narrative doesn't happen at all. If we looked at it purely in a political context, truthfully, you could be looking at another 7 to 10 years before a nationalist renaissance. And it's definitely not going to come from the Homeland Party led by Kenny Smith. I mean, his behaviour, which is also covered in the book, is deplorable. You know, drunken brawls all over the place, recorded on smartphones, plastered all over the internet, drunken sessions all over Europe, vomiting everywhere, etc. You know, staggering all over. This is not behaviour becoming of a nationalist leader. It's the type of behaviour you expect from Tommy Robinson's fanboys. That's what they do. So you can totally and utterly forget any idea that Kenny Smith is going to lead the Homeland Party to a great renaissance. It's never going to happen. It might happen in the figment of their imagination, but in truth, in real times, never happen. And I would say, go and buy a copy of Patriot Games, because no nationalist has ever produced a book like this before about the Centre Riot. I'm not saying no nationalist is capable of doing it, it's just that they've not done it. And why is that? Is it because they don't understand the Centre Right as well as I do? I think some of them do. I think some of them do. And this has been a great failing of nationalism, particularly in recent years, is that they've just taken their eyes off the ball completely where it comes to the Centre Right. And that's the one thing I have never done and will never do. While ever I draw breath, I'll be on the case of the Centre Right, looking to do them down, but not with gaslighting, not with false and misleading allegations. That's what they do. That's what I do. That's what they do, and then I expose it. I will be on their case purely for the sake of truth and accuracy and the eventual renaissance of nationalism. I won't lead that renaissance, and that's quite all right by me. I'm not an egomaniac. You know, I don't need to be worshipped like a stone pillar. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to help with the renaissance of nationalism. That's the only task I have left, really, to be honest with you, in the political context. And the book, Patriot Games, I think, helps to achieve that by taking us one step further along. And also, I think no one on the Centre Right has ever written a book about this, because they could never summon up enough honesty, because they're too afraid of the reprisals. The only one who's come closest to it, of course, is Lucy Brown with Hate Club. And but this goes much further than Hate Club, believe me. This is a truly devastating expose of the Centre Riot and, you know, fundamental analysis of their political structure and what they intend to achieve, which is not an awful lot, and how nationalism can counter it and create a renaissance. So if you want to get more than just a lightweight's understanding of politics on the right, then go ahead and get yourself a copy of Patriot Games, and it will help you to achieve just that, I assure you. Because there's one thing about this book, is that no one in the Centre Right can counter it with anything remotely resembling the truth, and facts-based evidence is a totally alien concept to them. A fact I've discovered many times. So don't get suckered into the Patriot Games. Go out there and put a stop to their Patriot Games. Help me to put a stop to their Patriot Games, and let's get back to the real business of creating a nationalist renaissance. Wouldn't you say?